Management SRMIST. We are happy to welcome you the day 4 of this 5-day faculty development program on technology disruptions in management, sponsored by ATAL, that is the AICT Training and Learning Academy. I'm happy to introduce our chief guest for the session, Mr. Arjun Vijay. He is going to deliver the title on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Arjun Vijay is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Giottus cryptocurrency exchange, one of India's leading digital assets trading platform. He has been instrumental in helping Giottus acquire 4 lakh plus customers across India. In his current role, he is responsible for spearheading the business by building strong partnership and taking care of daily operations. It was his passion and interest in cryptocurrency exchange that he created the world-class cryptocurrency trading platform that provides powerful tools and technologies that are easy to use and makes it possible for anyone to master this trade. Giottus currently supports 80 plus cryptocurrencies and has a trade volume of 4,000 crores over per month. Arjun is focused to keep innovating, remain customer obsessed, and to make Giottus the go-to platform for virtual assets trading. His ability to provide solutions by his innovation and out-of-the-box thinking comes with his experience across diverse domains such as retail, telecom, renewable energy, and cryptocurrencies. As an IIM Calcutta graduate, he has been involved in setting up and running multiple programs successfully throughout his career. He has developed the ability to structure a problem, get into the details, and work through a scalable solution. His experience as a business manager, along with education in computer science engineering, helped him understood both technology and business side, gives him an edge over others in the business. Arjun is an avid reader across genres and likes to keep himself updated on technology and people. He finds himself fascinated about the future and how the products of today will shape tomorrow. We are happy to welcome you, sir. Now the floor is open to you.
Sure. Thank you for the warm welcome, Ms. Suganti, and I thank SRM for giving me this opportunity to be talking about cryptocurrencies. So let me start my presentation. Can everyone see the?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So see, over the last couple of years or like last 3 years, you have heard this Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currencies, NFT, all these things a lot, right? But why is this technology so hyped? Why are people talking about it? Why are governments commenting about it? Why is Elon Musk the world's richest man, or Mark Zuckerberg? They are all interested in cryptocurrencies. Jack Dorsey has a separate arm that deals with cryptocurrencies. Why is there so much hype, right? What is so special in this technology that makes the most intelligent people or most powerful people of the world take a look at this, right? So another listed company, they bought like billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. So what makes Bitcoin very special, right? So normally when I talk to a layman, right, I realize they have understanding of what is internet, what is everything, but they don't. If you ask them what is internet, he'll say it is something which I use to talk to another person. I use it for sending messages through WhatsApp, right? So for people, mostly the technology, they don't understand the nuts and bolts on technology. They don't say HTTP, TCP, IP. Their understanding comes from the application. So if you look at Bitcoin from that angle, like what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin, first and foremost, is primarily like a currency, right? It could be a replacement for US dollar. You can make payments through Bitcoin. You can receive payments in Bitcoin, right? So it's a unit of currency, right? Second important thing is Bitcoin is more like a protocol. Just like how HTTP, TCP, IP, they power internet, right? They set the rules of the game, how it should work, how it should not work, what should be size of the packet, how do you secure this thing, who is allowed, who is not allowed to participate, and all those things. Bitcoin sets itself a set of rules. How should Bitcoin be issued? What is a valid Bitcoin? What's a valid transaction? How do you verify, and how do you make it smart, right? You can put conditions when it can be spent and all those things, right? Any transaction, when you make a payment or receive a payment, they all have to follow this Bitcoin protocol for it to work, right? And So the next important thing is it's also a payment network like Visa, MasterCard. If you look at US dollar is a currency. Then you have like payment rails like a Visa, MasterCard, right? They are supported by a separate protocol, right? With Bitcoin, it's slightly confusing because everything is called Bitcoin. The network is called Bitcoin. The payment this thing is called rails is called Bitcoin. The protocol is called Bitcoin. And finally, the unit that we use to transact whatever we receive and whatever we're sending, that is also called Bitcoin, right? So just like how Visa and MasterCard lets a merchant accept payments, right? Bitcoin can also do that, right? People can just simply have a QR code that is shown to the customers and they can make a payment. And here, rather than paying any fees, the receiver is getting it completely free. For a credit card, he has to pay like 2% MDR, but here it's completely free, right? The most important part about Bitcoin when it came to designing is, right, they wanted the supply of Bitcoin to be limited. The only reason why gold is being valued so high is because gold is a scarce resource, right? The scarcity gives its value. The normal paper currency that we have, it's printed in unlimited amounts. Every year, government prints hundreds of thousands of crores of money. See, that is the reason why money loses value over a period of time. We'll cover this later. But for Bitcoin, they said the maximum supply has to be 21 million. There should not be not even one Bitcoin produced after 21 million Bitcoins are produced, right? So, and that's the reason why production of Bitcoin is called mining, Bitcoin mining, because it is kind of inspired by gold, right? So you need to put a lot of effort to extract gold from here. Same way, you cannot produce Bitcoin easily out of thin air. You need to put a lot of effort. You have to run a lot of algorithms. It consumes a lot of computing power to produce each and every Bitcoin. And the next important part is Bitcoin is also analogous to email. Just like how just by having someone's email ID, I'm able to directly communicate with that person, no matter where he is in the world, right? It's a peer-to-peer communication. I don't have to go through a third party. Just remember, right? 50 years back, how the postal system used to work. If you are going to write to someone in California, you will be sending a letter to your local post office. From there, it goes to the head post office. Probably it will go to the Bombay post office from there. From there, it must go to maybe New York, and from there to the San Francisco head post office. And then, so it just keeps on going through hops, right? But now, once we have email, we are able to directly send whatever we want. I send it right now, and next few seconds, the person on the other end is receiving the email, and they are able to act on it. Similarly, Bitcoin, they don't have to pass through all these hoops, right? It's just like email, as long as they have the receiver's Bitcoin address, just like an email address, I can send them Bitcoin. And next is it's programmable money, it's smart money. You can put conditions. This Bitcoin should not be spent in next 6 months, right? Or like I need 4 signatures out of this 10 signatures to make this Bitcoin spendable. So all those kind of smart conditions can be put. And the last and the most important point is Bitcoin is open source. Anyone can participate in this algorithm, right? Anyone who wants to develop this algorithm even in a much better way, they can participate in the community and they can do it. It's not controlled by any centralized entity or organization or a country, right? It's Bitcoin is as open source as it gets because the guy who created it, Satoshi Nakamoto, he was an anonymous person, right? After a couple of years, he left the industry, right? We don't know who he was, whether he was a group of people, whether it's a government agency or an individual, but right now that person doesn't exist, right? So it's as decentralized as possible, right? There's no single person saying this is how it should be run, this is what I wanted to do, right? It's always a community decision. A group as a whole, they take a decision. So if you look at this Bitcoin, a lot looks like internet, right? Just like how internet has become the global standard for communication, right? Whatever forms of communication, be it mail or this webinar or WhatsApp, right? Or the social media, the communication has been primarily through internet. In the last 10, 15 years, this is what has happened. The world has transitioned to this, right? Similarly, at some point of time, cryptocurrencies could be the platform where all the monetary transactions happen, right? The reason being, a lot of good things that you can associate with the internet, like how it's decentralized. There's no one person who is saying I'm controlling the internet, right? Anyone who wants to participate can participate. Someone wants to create a Facebook, they can create a Facebook. Someone wants to create a Google or a Gmail or any app or this Zoom, they can go ahead and do it, right? Anyone who wants to participate, they can participate. It's neutral, right? It doesn't side with one person or other, right? It's transparent. You can see who is operating, who is spending how much. It's open source, as I said, it's permissionless innovation, right? What do you mean by permissionless innovation? It means that anyone who wants to contribute, they don't have to apply, wait for something, right? Someone's permission to do improve the network. You can just go ahead and participate, show your ideas, show your technology, and then if the community accepts, it will be added, right? And the most important part is the network effects. So what do you mean by network effect? See, if there is only one person in the world having a telephone, it's useless because he cannot call any other person, right? When you have two phones, it's slightly useful, right? When you have like three phones, the use is better by like square, right? I can call to two people now instead of one people, right? And that people also can talk to them between themselves. So it's like there are three connections that have been made, right? As you increase the number of telephones in an area, the more utility it has. Just like how when it all started and only 2-3 people had WhatsApp, you don't spend much time in WhatsApp. Now everyone you know is on WhatsApp, right? You spend, it's much more useful, right? Each and every person who adds to the WhatsApp, he is connected to like another 200, 250 people. It's same thing with social media. When you're just starting your Facebook account, you'll have no connections. You'll see no utility. But as you see more and more friends you are connected to, you'll see you can make your social media much more productive or useful. Same way, Bitcoin also, it shows these network effects, right? Only if 3-4 people are transacting, it just becomes a private money between themselves. As more and more people join, the network becomes more and more powerful, right? It becomes the global standard, right? And next important part is why is open source important, right? Just look at these examples and understand in last 20 years how they have changed the world, right? In 1990s, late to the early 2000s, the guy who created Britannica Encyclopedia, he was talking about Wikipedia, how it's like a public toilet. No one knows who used it before, who is going to use it after. No one is going to maintain it. And for any reliable source of knowledge, you have to come to Britannica Encyclopedia. But where is Britannica Encyclopedia today, and where is Wikipedia, right? I mean, anyone who has completed college in the last 10 years, who done the schooling, they would not have done that without the help of Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia now has become the global repository of information. Whatever you want to know, you go to Wikipedia and search it, right? Look at Android. Even right now, when you buy a desktop or a laptop, right, you pay another 6,000, 7,000 for the operating system separately, unless it gets bundled along with it, right? If you're going to assemble your own computer, you're going to pay 5,000 to 6,000 to get a original copy of Windows OS. But look at the smartphones that we are buying. We are able to buy a smartphone for 3,000 rupees, right? And it doesn't need any extra operating system to work because it's coming in inbuilt with Android. The reason phones have become affordable is because of this open source operating system like Android. If it was still run by Windows, you would be paying another 2,000, 3,000 just to get the Windows operating system installed, right? Today we use browsers like Chrome, VLC, right? More than the reason that they are free, even the tech is getting better and better when it comes to open source because anyone can participate, right? Anyone can do a bug bounty, right? So gone are the days when people said you trust the centralized system more than an open source system. Today, all the databases they run on MySQL, and all the programmers they use Linux, right? So open source, what they do is it unlocks value rather than it being limited to certain people. It lets the value participate to all participants. It distributes value to all participants, right? There's free innovation. Just like imagine, right? What has Wikipedia done, right? It has broken the walls, right? You used to hear the stories like how people used to go to a distant library to learn about stuff, right? Because they didn't have access to TV or some the newspapers at home. But now, everyone at their home, they are able to access all the information in the world through Wikipedia, right? By breaking the barriers, by letting everyone participate, by having lower barriers for entry, right? Open source makes it much more better for the people, right? So let's come back to Bitcoin, right? So if you want to compare Bitcoin with other financial infrastructure things, let's say IMPS, right? What happens in an IMPS? When I transfer some money, first the money gets debited in my account. The central bank, like for example, I am sending from HDFC, I debit money in my HDFC account, and then the communication goes to the NPCA, National Payments Corporation's server, right? That server, they instruct the receiving bank, let's say ICICI Bank, right? So this particular person has to be credited with X amount of money, right? So there, the receiver bank adds the money. It also makes a note that the center bank overall, they have to give so much money. So banks to banks, they do a settlement at a later point of time. So this is how typically any transaction works, right? So what is happening here is we require a trusted third party in the middle, like a NPCI or our own bank or a UPI or a NEFT or a central bank or like say Visa, MasterCard. We always need a centralized third party to process our digital transaction. Why is it so? If you have a 10 rupee cash, I can directly give it to you, right? I don't have to have someone from central bank come here and verify, okay, this 10 rupee Arjun Vijay is giving is valid. Okay, you can accept it. Like no one does this, right? The reason being, in a physical world, the cost of replication is high. To create a exactly same copy of this 10 rupee note, it's very impossible because of the texture of the note, quality, the printing, and all those things, hologram. Apart from this, also it's illegal, right, to create counterfeit currency, and the counterfeit currency can always be identified. Right, if you have like technical people, they will come and say, okay, this currency is counterfeit, I can easily verify it. But when it comes to the digital realm, just imagine, right? One MP3 file, I can make 10,000 copies of it, each same exactly bit by bit. Now, which one is original, which one is duplicate, right? So if we're having like say 10,000 digital currencies, I can distribute it freely again and again by making a copy if there is no centralized person to verify. So that is the reason why we have these trusted third parties like PayPal, as I already said, central banks, RBI, all those things to verify this part of the chain, transaction chain. So what Bitcoin does is, instead of having this centralized thing, it removes the middleman, right? Bitcoin does two major innovations primarily. First thing is, as I said, in digital realm, nothing is scarce, right? You can create a copy of a copy of a copy, and it's accessible to all. So a file, there's no replication cost, right? So that is the reason why you have so much pirated movies, pirated songs in the internet, right? It doesn't cost much for the guy to create another copy. So nothing is scarce in digital, right? Once you have a copy of a file, you can make 1,000 more copies at the same cost. So Bitcoin, you cannot trade. If I have one Bitcoin, I have only one Bitcoin. I cannot make a copy of it, right? So we will see how that works later, right? That is part number one. The second part is like removing the middleman, right? Doing direct peer-to-peer transactions, right? So these are the two major things about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is basically like email for money without any centralized third party. I can directly, the center can send it to receiver, right? So this is called the double spending problem. As I said, I have a digital coin. If I make a copy and I give it to Alice, right, and I give the original to Lisa, there's no way for someone to identify whether it's original or duplicate. So how Bitcoin solves this, we will see, right? So what we normally do is, so in this example, the sending bank, it has the database where all the customers are listed and how much bank balance they hold. Right? For example, Arjun Vijay, he has 53,615. Ram, he has 13,820. So it has a ledger that shows the value of balance for each of those people. Right? So when I send money, what they do is they debit this 5,000 rupees from my account. Instead of 53,615, it becomes 48,615. Right? It sends this information to NPCA. In the receiver bank, if I am sending it to say Sham, right? For Sham, again, he has like 2,500 rupees. The 5,000 is added and 7,500 is shown, right? So the receiving bank will have a ledger of all its customers. So in the database against Sham record, they will update the balance. Right? This is how this infrastructure works. In Bitcoin, what they do is, instead of having only one copy, the center is having one copy, receiver is having one copy, receiving bank is having one copy, right? Instead of that, this database is made public, right? So if you look at this, So this is the Bitcoin block explorer, right? You can see so all the transactions that have happened right from 2009 to till date. See, all these transactions are made public. Anyone who wants to go and check, he can check. So each, like just like how we have pages in a book, in Bitcoin we have blocks, right? Each block will have like 500 to 2000, 3000 transactions. You can see here the number of transactions in the block, right? Each block is identified by a number, right? The first ever block was 1, and right now we have 6,97,624 block. This recent block was created like just 10 minutes back, right? So this block had 228 transactions. If you go inside, you can see each and every transaction. This person is sending 0.58 Bitcoin to this particular address, right? So this person is sending 0.083 and is splitting it 0.0027 to this address, 0.0054 to this address. So what Bitcoin has essentially done is this, right? So everyone has a copy of this Bitcoin. So now if Rob wants to send 0.3 Bitcoin to Lara, what he does is Rob will open his Bitcoin wallet, right? He needs Lara's address, right? I'll also show how we can create address. Okay, so address typically looks like this. So I can create an address like this. Basically, it uses my random mouse movements to create an address. So basically, this is how a particular address looks like. This is the password, right, which you have to keep secret when you create a Bitcoin address. So this is the address. So once I have Laura's address, 1 minute. So once I have Lara's address, right, I will put that address in the sending, like send Lara's address, and I'll say like send like say 0.1 Bitcoin to this particular address, and I'll click send, right? At that point of time, I also have to put the password, right? Using the digital signature, I have to verify that this, like just like how you sign the check. Let's say in a physical world, how does it look? You say this is Lara, I am paying 2,000 rupees in a check, and you sign it, right? So basically your signature attests the transaction. So here your digital signature, you saw, right? So this particular password, using this I can put the signature, right? Only I will be having the address for this wallet. So only I will be able to put the signature. That's the idea. So after this, this particular transaction is broadcasted to the entire network. If you look at this, I'll show you a meme. So this particular transaction has been broadcasted. All the broadcasted unprocessed transaction, they go to something called the mempool, right? At this point of time, you can see there are. So at this point of time, you can see there are like 16,000 transactions. Then they all got processed. At this point of time, there are only 4,500 unprocessed transactions, right? So these are the unprocessed transactions, right? What happens next is these miners, there are people called, specific people called miners, right? The role, so these are all miners. The role of these miners is they will take some 2,000 transactions from the mempool, right? They will take 2,000 transactions from the mempool, and they have to do something called the Merkle tree, right? They will find a SHA-256 hash of each of those transactions, add it, find another hash, then combine the hashes, do another hash. So they will keep on building a tree kind of a structure until they are stopped with something called the Merkle root. Okay, this is the Merkle root. Okay, they have got this Merkle root. After this, what they have to do is they have to put the previous block hash. Okay, this is the block hash. So normally they're not showing it here. You have to put the previous block's hash, right? Previous block's hash, for example, right now, let's say I'm finding 6,97,626 the block, right? I have to go here, take this particular block hash. That also I'll put as input. So I'll have the Merkle root. I'll have this as the input. Now I have to find another block hash such that it starts with so many number of zeros, right? So how do I do it? Initially, I find a hash. The hash looks something like this, so random, right? So I'll add another value called nonce. So this is the nonce. Okay, it's represented right now in hexadecimal. So I'll say I'll make this nonce 1 and then find a hash, right? I'll make this nonce 2, then find a hash. I'll make this nonce 3, then find a hash. At some point, you'll get a hash that looks like this. This can be in your millionth try, billionth try, quadrillionth try, right? At some point, someone across the world is able to find this nonce, right? Such that the overall hash starts with 18 zeros or 15 zeros, right? When he does that, he makes the announcement to everyone. Okay, I have found a block, right? Please check. So everyone, they verify whether this block has been created by correct method, whether the Merkle root is correct, whether all the transactions are adding up, whether the nonce is correct, and whether the size of the block and everything, all the parameters are valid, right? And they broadcast it. Okay, so it is just added to the block, just like how you saw, right? We'll get 6,97,626 the block we will get, right? But now you should ask, why is this guy doing all this effort to find this, right? The reason being, anyone who creates a block, he gets paid. How he gets paid? He gets paid in two forms. For each transaction, there is a fee that is associated, just like how we put a stamp, right? Here, each transaction has a fee. So all this fee goes to the miner who makes a valid block. Okay, so these are all the fee. Apart from this, he can pay himself X amount of Bitcoin. So right now, the block reward is 6.25 Bitcoins. Okay, so every time a block is created, 6.25 Bitcoin is newly created, minted, and paid to the miner. Okay, so if you look at the value of this, right now the Bitcoin's value is around 35 lakhs. So 6.25 Bitcoins means like somewhere around 2 crores every 10 minutes someone is getting, right? So this guy has got like 2 crores, this guy has got 2 crores, this guy has got 2 crores. So you see this is the reward, 6.25 plus 0.1, 6.25 plus 0.01. This is all 6.25, right? So almost on an average, every 10 minutes, someone is winning 2 crore lottery. So what is happening is people across the world, they are spending tons and tons. So you have like mining farms that will stretch to acres that will do just this job. These are all like Bitcoin mining farms, right? These are all cryptocurrency mining farms. So people have dedicated facility just to do this mining, right? Coming back to the presentation. So what is happening? The miner will include this transaction, like whatever transaction I send, it's been included in a block, processed and broadcasted, right? So the node will verify whether the block is correct and it will propagate. Okay, this is everyone across the world, they can add this block to their blockchain, right? So Laura also on the other end, she will be able to see suddenly in her address, the balance is added, right? And in Rob's wallet, you can see that it has been subtracted. So everyone keeps tab. Rather than having like one centralized party reducing it for Rob and another party increasing it for Laura, everyone across the world, their ledger, they will update. So that is why this technology is also called DLT, distributed ledger technology, right? It's just like everyone is having this accounts book, right? Everyone keeps track which others is owning how much at any point of time. Right, so this is how the Merkle root looks like. So this is the first transaction. I find a SSH256 hash. The second transaction, I find a SSH256 hash. For these two hashes, I combine, concatenate, and find another hash. Right. So similarly, I find another hash. These two I concatenate. So if you have 228 transactions, I have to do this repeatedly, right? Until I come up with the root hash. Right. Apart from that, I also said the previous block's hash should be there. I'll find nonce in such a way that this overall hash starts with X number of zeros, right? What is the significance of X number of zeros? Basically, it's a difficulty. Suddenly, if across the world, there are so many computing firms that have come up, Like people are able to solve this very fast, right? In 2 minutes, 3 minutes, blocks are coming. So what the Bitcoin algorithm does is, okay, in the last 400 blocks, the average block time is 7 minutes. So from today onwards, yeah, instead of 15 zeros, you have to find blocks with 18 zeros, right? It increases the difficulty. If it's just 1 0, it's easy. 1 out of every 50 cases is going to be starting with 0. If you want 2 zeros, the probability becomes 1 by say 200, right? As you increase the number of zeros, it becomes more and more difficult, right? So automatically, this mining algorithm adjusts the difficulty so that at any point of time, the average time taken for Bitcoin block to get produced is 10 minutes, right? So this is how blockchain will look like. This is this first block, right? It will have the hash of the previous block, Merkle root, and it will have all the transactions of this block, right? So this is how simplified a Bitcoin blockchain looks like. So these are all blocks. They are all connected just like a linked list. So that's why it's called blockchain, chain of blocks, right? I showed you how to create an address. I showed you mempool and a block explorer, right? So there is one more thing, right? The 6.25, I'll say how it came. So when it all started in 2009-10, the Bitcoin initial reward was 50 Bitcoins, right? So initially on 2009, the reward was 50 Bitcoins per block, right? So in 2013, it became 25 Bitcoins per block. In 2016, it became 12.5. So last year, May 2020, it became 12.5 blocks, right? This happens every 210,000 blocks, right? So every 210,000 block, the reward becomes half, right? If you keep on adding, right, by this time 210,000 into 50, you will have 10 million 500,000 Bitcoins, right? They all got produced in by 2012, right? By 2015, right? We have 14 million 437,000. So this keeps on increasing at a very small rate. Where's the picture? So this is how the Bitcoin production is. So in first 200,000 blocks, almost so much block got produced, right? 10.5 million got produced, right? After that, the amount of supply becomes half and half and half and half, right? Overall, at the end of in another 100 years, the 0.00001 block, the Bitcoin will be produced, right? If you sum up all these things, it will be equal to 21 million. So right now, after the 21 million, already 88% of Bitcoins have been produced, right? There's only like another 10-11% of Bitcoins that are yet to be produced, right? This is the tech behind Bitcoin. So this is just about Bitcoin, right? Then what people realized is, if so much can be done for currency, why can't we copy this technology and do much more? So that's how Ethereum was born. What Ethereum did is, they made it like an internet computer. The simple way to define Ethereum is, it's like a decentralized Google Play Store. Anyone who wants to create an app, he can create an app and run on Ethereum. Okay, so say these are called Ethereum dApps. Okay, so these are called Ethereum dApps. So if you Google this, you'll find hundreds of applications that run on Ethereum. Right, a lot of these are just tokens by themselves. If you look at USDT, Matic, and all, these are run on Ethereum platform. They are tokens by themselves. So each and every cryptocurrency, they have their own application. Just like how every app in your phone has a function, right? It has like a single name. So this is what this app is going to do. Facebook will let you access social media. Twitter will let you post tweets. WhatsApp will let you communicate with another person whose phone number you have got. Similarly, each of the app, they will come with the primary purpose, right? So this is how I'll say like general introduction to Bitcoin is. Anyone who is interested, they can go ahead and read the Bitcoin white paper. This is like the most important thing anyone who wants to learn more has to do. So this is the Bitcoin white paper. If you Google, this is like a 7-page document, 9-page document, and it's very simple. You don't even have to understand a lot of tech. And since only like faculty are attending, it will be much more easier. So this has the entire, what to say, design of Bitcoin, like why they are doing what they are doing, how they are doing, when, what will happen, and how this network will work, what is the philosophy behind it, why will miners do the mining, how to attack this network, and why that will fail. So all those things are explained in this 9-page document. Okay, so in all probability, actually it's less than like 5-6 pages if you remove all the references and everything. So this is about Bitcoin, right? See, if it comes to this question, like, okay, we have created something called Bitcoin, as marvelous, but why is it better than paper currency? Paper currency is called fiat currency. Or why is it better than gold? Right? There are some things, right? Any currency, these are the key things that needs to be there. First is the durability. I have something today, after 100 years also, I should have it if I'm storing it in a safe place. I cannot do it for iron, it gets rusted. Certain things will get corroded, or like organic material will decay. Right? Gold, even after 1,000 years, we are burying, excavating, we are getting gold coins, they are fresh, right? The gold is still there. So that is why gold has always been primarily used to protect the wealth over centuries, right? Same thing cannot be said about fiat, because in 2016, we realized, right? Overnight, suddenly something you had stored became not so valuable, right? The 500 rupee and 1,000 rupee note. It all depends on the whims and fancies of the government. Apart from that, even otherwise, this paper is easy to, what to say, get destroyed. Right, there's a fire accident or someone steals, right? It's not so easy, right, to hold on to a large amount of money. The portability, you should be able to take it and spend it, right? Bitcoin is A+ because cash, I have like limited distance that it can travel. Even if you look at digital systems, digital India, the limits is within the country. If you want to take it outside the country, there are so many issues, right? Bitcoin is global network, just like how email works globally, Bitcoin works globally. Gold is like gets the least points here because it's very cumbersome to take gold from one place to another, right? And the fungibility, the concept is one 10 rupee note, it should be equal to another 10 rupee note, right? I cannot say this 10 rupee note I'm valuing at 11 rupees, this 10 rupee note I'm going to value at 8 rupees. It cannot be, right? Fungibility means interchangeable, like every coin has the same value, everything is of same thing, right? Gold, it's fungible because you can melt it. This chain can become a ring. It can become a coin, right? If someone doesn't accept this gold, you can again melt it and create something new. So no one will say that I need this particular, in diamonds, this is not the case. For example, each and every diamond is unique, right? Each and every diamond will have a different value, but gold, it's not the same. 1 gram of gold will always have the same value, right? Bitcoin, it's not exactly fungible because you can trace, okay, who received this Bitcoin, whether this Bitcoin has come from wrong source or the right source, whether it has been used to make illegal transactions. Okay, you can, follow the chain of transactions, right? So it's not exactly fungible. So there's something called a tainted Bitcoins, right? Some Bitcoins got hacked or paid as ransomware. People just chase this Bitcoin, and this Bitcoin, the value is almost zero because law enforcement authorities are behind it. So that is the thing with fungibility. Bitcoin doesn't score well, gold scores really good. Next is the verifiability, right? It's not so easy to verify a 500 rupee note. We are not that qualified, right, to say this 500 or 1,000 rupee note is valid, invalid. It's so difficult, right? But even then, it's fine. We are able to do it on day-to-day basis most of the times, not with great accuracy. But gold, how do you verify the purity of gold, right? If you read in the recent times in China, billions of dollars got fraud, right? The outer layer is completely gold, but inner layer they are having copper or something else. And a wealthy merchant, he used this to take mortgage out of the bank and fraud the bank, right? So verifiability is very not so easy for gold, but Bitcoin is very easy. If it shows in your wallet, it's verified. As simple as that, right? You don't have to say whether this Bitcoin is valid or not. If I go to this block explorer, the block explorer I showed, right? So this particular address, I take this address, I go to the block explorer and I paste it here. Okay. It will show how much balance it has. I just created this address, so this address has 0 balance. right? This is all you need to verify a Bitcoin, whether you have received or not, right? Anyone can go and check. If someone says I have made the payment, you can ask what is the transaction ID, right? Show me. It's still not showing, and he can also verify. Today in the bank, this is not working, right? You'll say I have sent it. The other person says I have not received it, right? So that person is doubting whether you have sent it or not. You will have a doubt whether this guy has received and is cheating, right? Even in UPI, this payment, we are facing issues, right? You scan and may send a payment. It says loading, loading, loading. The other guy is saying he is not received. He'll ask you to send again. When you send it, it's sent twice. All those issues are not there in Bitcoin blockchain because it's easy to verify. Either you can put this, or every transaction will have a transaction hash. For example, for this, but when I am sending, right, all I have to find is this transaction ID. See, I have made this payment of 0.017. I got this transaction ID. This transaction ID, you go and search in Block Explorer. It will show I have made the payment from my address. It has come to your address. So it's a publicly verifiable record when you make a payment or receive a payment. It's very difficult to cheat someone. So that's the verifiability. Next is the divisibility, right? Gold, one of the reasons why it was currencies, it's also very divisible. You can divide it into fine parts. That is the reason it's used for jewelry. You can make small cuts in gold, right? But again, now the gold price has increased so much. Like for 1 rupee of gold, it's very difficult to divide gold into that kind of a thing, right? But fiat currencies, we have like 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, 5 rupee coin, 100 rupee, 500 rupee coin. So the divisibility is there. For Bitcoin, you can divide it up to 8 decimals, 0.000000001, like 0 followed by 7 zeros, decimal followed by 7 zeros and then the 1. That is the smallest digit of Bitcoin. For Ethereum, you can divide it to 18 digits, right? So this is much more divisible. So even if I want to make 0.0001 Bitcoin payment, I will be able to do it. In rupee, you cannot make payment less than 50 paise, right? It's not valid. 50 paise is no longer valid. Next is scarcity, right? It should not be easily produced. If we easily produce, what happens? Government prints enormous amount of money. When gold was the currency, it was not easy for government to issue so much of money because you need to do a lot of effort, mine, and then extract the gold, which then you make it into a coin and issue it. Right? There should be a difficulty attached to it. Even then, gold also, the supply has only increased over the years. People are finding new technology. They are trying to extract gold from sea. They are going to extract gold from asteroids if it all goes well, right? So the gold supply is also not that scarce at some point of time. It's all, we are just limited by the technology. But Bitcoin is limited by mathematics. No matter what happens, the supply will always be 21 million. And it's inelastic. What do I mean by inelastic? So in economics, what happens is, if a price of something increases a lot, right? For example, let's say corn, right? Corn price increases, or like say rice price increases. Instead of 15 rupees per kg, it becomes 1,500 rupees per kg. What happens is everyone starts growing rice. Suddenly you see that so much supply of rice, the price again, instead of 15 rupees, it goes to 10 rupees, right? So this is what happens. This is what has happened in oil also. When the oil price went to $150 per barrel, a lot of people tried to extract oil from even unviable places. Then this shale oil and new sources of oil got discovered, and there is a huge supply that reduced the price. But in Bitcoin, there's no such thing. Even if the Bitcoin price becomes like from 30 lakhs, it becomes to 30 crores, the supply will not change. Like every 10 minutes, 6.25 Bitcoins till 2023. After 2023, 3.125 Bitcoins, right? That's very constant. So this inelastic supply makes it extremely scarce. That's why it goes even above gold. The next is established history. What do I mean by established history? If you look at it philosophically, money is just a belief, right? It's a collective belief. We all think gold has value, hence gold has value. We all think paper money has value, hence it has value. So you need to be ingrained, right? When you have new form of money, you'll ask, why should it be money? Gold would have faced this question 3,000, 4,000 years back. Hey, what is the stupid shining yellow metal? Why are you paying me in gold? Right? Then you will be saying everyone accepts gold. You should also accept gold. This is very valuable. You can make jewelry and all those things. You should be doing selling. Like how I'm talking about Bitcoin right now. At some point in time, people have said about this thing. Even for paper currency, it is not an established thing. paper currency, the history is less than last 200 years. And the fiat currency, even before that, it was just backed by gold. If you give currency back to the government, they should give you in gold. That's how it was till 1970. After 1970, there was something called a Nixon shock. Then we had this fiat currency. If you have 100 rupees, you go to give to the government, they're not going to return anything of valuable. They'll give you 100 rupees back, right? So it's not backed by anything. So the established history is basically how long people have trusted this form of money. So gold has a 5,000-year history. So people take gold much more easily. So Bitcoin, this is where it lacks. It's a new form of money, but it's not accepted everywhere. People have a very short memory of it. Last is the censorship resistant. Look at what is happening in Afghanistan. If you are a millionaire in Afghanistan, what happens to all your wealth? You are at the mercy of Taliban. Here, the Afghan money, all those things, Taliban can one day say these are all not valid. Right? They can come and confiscate your house, their car, your cars, and everything. Right? For a person, the private property right is a fundamental right. Right? He should be able to hold on to these assets, irrespective of the government or the dictator that they are subjected to. Right? In case of civil war and all those things, there Bitcoin provides an excellent method. Right? Gold can be confiscated. Right? A lot of Jews during World War II, they hid gold in their teeth and all those places to ensure their wealth is somewhat preserved. Most of their wealth got destroyed, but at least some wealth they were able to preserve. Right? Even gold is not this thing, right? If you do an X-ray of your body, you will find where the gold is. But Bitcoin, it's just a password, username, password. If you're able to store the password in your mind, it's above censorship resistance, right? So also what is happening is the governments are printing enormous amount of money, right? This is how the US supply has grown. This is up to March 2020. After COVID, the supply went even higher. If you look here, this particular dip is March 2020, right? So government is printing a lot of dollars and then they're distributing it to people in the form of stimulus. So that is causing a huge increase in the supply of dollars. Just like I said, if government prints money continuously, the value of money will reduce, right? If you imagine like 20, 30 years back, how cheap things were. Like with 10 rupees, you'll be able to have a full meals. The land, one ground used to cost in Tambaram or like in the rural less than 10,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees. Right now, what is the price? The reason being, those fundamental things have not changed. Whatever we are eating almost the same thing. Then we are eating curd rice and biryani. Now we are eating curd rice and biryani. The raw materials, ingredients are same. The land has been same. The purchasing power of money is reduced. Every time government prints more money, whenever there's a physical deficit, right? So these kind of things, they print more and more money. So the buying power of individual 1 rupee, it keeps on reducing as they print more and more and more money. It's not that these things are getting expensive. It's just that the buying power of money is reducing over a period of time. And USD, they have this advantage because of the global currency. Everyone takes USD from America and they save it. Right? These guys have the printing press. They print enormous amounts of money. And everyone else, we have to do the hard work. We export software. China exports all the raw materials, hardware, electronics and everything. And then they get paid in paper money. Right? So Bitcoin provides a neutral way, right? Why should we US just have the access to creating dollars? It should be distributed. It should be neutral. It should not be with one particular country alone, this ability to produce money. So these are some of the reasons why people are preferring Bitcoin as a neutral currency that is common to whole world rather than one particular country. And this is what happened in Zimbabwe when they printed unlimited amount of money, right? So people, normally you see them carrying so much amount of money even to buy their groceries or even a Coca-Cola, right? Then they devalue, they issue new currency. Again, they face the same problems. Zimbabwe is going through this crisis again and again because their central bank, whenever they don't have money for a particular project or to pay salary, they just print more money. At some point, the money becomes useless, meaningless. They have like even printed $100 trillion of note. So what is happening is, so there are something called horizontal innovations, right? Vertical innovation is such that you find something and it's used only for that particular domain or industry, and it revolutionizes that particular industry, but that's where it's restricted to. Horizontal innovations like electricity, internet, they are, or even artificial intelligence, the benefits are spread across domains, across areas. You cannot pick and choose what are the areas internet has disrupted. But what are the areas electricity disrupted 100 years back? Right? Everything is electrified. Even the trains, the last vestigial things that are still running on diesel and this thing, coal, they're almost been eliminated. Right? All the trains have been eliminated. And next 10-15 years, we'll also have automobiles. Only you have electric cars and scooters. Right? So similarly, artificial intelligence, it's being used in every space to make your experience better, to get better knowledge, to do better data mining and all those things, right? So similarly, cryptocurrencies are a horizontal technology. A lot of things that we are experiencing, especially whatever we are experiencing through internet, can be replaced by cryptocurrencies. In 1990s, when someone asked about internet, how it will be used and all those things, people do not have a lot of explanations. You cannot, what to say, explain YouTube or a Uber or even a Zoom call. People will find it difficult to believe, right? It will be looking like so futuristic. But right now we are just, I'm booking a cab and it's coming to my home. It looks like magic, right? For someone from 30 years back. For me, it's a day-to-day activity, right? We have accepted it as a norm. A virtual reality headset and all those things, it will become norm in 10-15 years, right? So even with cryptocurrencies, we will find newer and newer use cases because it's a horizontal innovation, how it's going to be used. So Ethereum, it has provided a platform for producing these kind of innovations, and that has exploded. Rather than creating your own blockchain like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, people could just create a token and launch it on Ethereum, which made it much more easier, right? Just like how creating standalone applications was so difficult, right? Once Google Play Store came, creating apps became very easy. You have like millions of apps now. Right? Similarly, Ethereum has democratized this space, and it's so easy to create a dApp. Right? Another particular coin I like about is Batcoin. Right? What is happening? How does Facebook and Google make money? They make money through ads. Right? How this is ad network works? For example, Pepsi, they want to show an ad to you. They pay money to Google, and Google shows you the ads. Right? What they are trying to do is they created a browser called Brave Internet Browser, BRAVE Internet Browser. Right? So this is basically a Chrome fork. So you'll have the same experience as using Google Chrome. But one thing is you have two options. You can switch off all the ads that you are being shown. Right? If you turn it off, it's almost like a Chrome with ad blocker. But if you opt in to watch ads, what this browser does is the Pepsi, they will be buying something called BAT token from the market, and they'll pay this browser, like show ads to customers. Whenever you watch ad, you get paid. Right? So rather than someone else like Facebook or Google making money out of your spending time in a social media or something, you are able to directly get paid. Right? You are removing the middleman. Right? Google is worth $1 trillion because it can show ads to billions of people. Right? Facebook is worth $1 trillion because again it can show ads to billions of people. But this technology, this Brave Internet Browser, they are trying to disrupt this whole thing. Right? So basically, last 5 years, you have heard a lot of centralization problem. Like Facebook is becoming too powerful. They have access to too much of data. And after they acquired Instagram and WhatsApp, the problem is even more. Right? Same thing can be told about Amazon or all these centralized technologies, right? Or Google. Right? Decentralization is way to get the power back to the user. Right? You remove this middleman. The data doesn't have to stay with this people. For example, a decentralized social application, how will it work? Right? For example, I am a user of this decentralized social media. Like, let's say it's Dbook. What I will do is I will upload an image and I'll give access to specific people who can see it. Basically, like a digital signature, I'll give access. Right? These 5 people can watch all my posts, photos, and everything. So only these people will be able to watch my information rather than having a centralized person like a Facebook having access to all the data that I create and showing me ads based on that, including my privacy. This would be a way for the future, right? Again, this technology is still in the early 1990s, just like how internet was, right? So it needs to it needs to mature. The throughput has to increase. At that point of time, we had like 56 kbps internet or even 28 kbps modems. Right? Today we are having 2 gigabits and 1 gigabits speed. Right? I don't think anyone here has internet speed less than 50 megabytes. Right? So, so future is interesting, like how cryptocurrency is going to take over the world. So even I'm looking forward to that. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me here, and I'm also happy to answer questions here. Yuvraj Halage has asked, can you go through your insights on the regulations of Bitcoins in Indian economy? Okay, let me try to answer that. Of Bitcoins in Indian economy. Okay, let me try to answer that. So this is the history of regulations in Bitcoin in India, right? So the first thing people ask is like, is Bitcoin legal? See, Bitcoin is 100% legal, right? Multiple times in Rajya Sabha, in Supreme Court, government has answered Bitcoin is legal according to the extent laws. Because the Bitcoin price is fluctuating, it's extremely volatile, right? The price grows from one rupee in 2010. It has gone to like, well, it went to 50 lakhs in April, May this year, right? It again went to less than 30 lakhs, right? Not even less than 30 lakhs. It went to 24-25 lakhs last month. Now it's back again 35-36 lakhs. There's so much volatility. So a general consumer who invests in cryptocurrencies, they have to be aware of this volatility, that you can lose your money and be careful, right? So this kind of warnings RBI was giving. Then in 2018, they restricted banks from dealing with cryptocurrency exchanges. So at any point of time, they never banned it, right? Then Supreme Court asked if Bitcoin is legal and all those things. RBI said Bitcoin is legal. So then Supreme Court said you cannot arbitrarily stop banks from dealing with cryptocurrencies. So Supreme Court has said there's no restrictions on Bitcoins. And later RBI also has clarified there are no restrictions. So right now it's completely legal to buy and sell Bitcoins. You can just check Bitcoin Supreme Court of India. You'll get all this thing, news articles. SE allows trade in cryptocurrency, crashes RBI curve. So, and central bank, so RBI also has recently come up in support of Bitcoin. So RBI gave this clarification that you can go ahead and trade in cryptocurrencies. There is no stop. The view of order of Supreme Court, the circular is no longer valid from date of Supreme Court judgment, therefore cannot be cited or quoted. So any bank, they cannot restrict you from dealing with virtual currencies. This is what RBI has said. So right now, but government is thinking to come up with the regulation, right? So it can come next year. See, but always, right, remember, when it comes to technology and regulation, first the technology comes, right? Government understands, okay, this is how the technology is being used, what this technology is, how it can be used in the right way, how it can be used in the wrong way, and then comes up with the regulation. If you look at internet and the laws, the cyber security laws came 10 years, 15 years after internet came to India. Even right now, we don't have complete internet laws. The data privacy bill and etc. are yet to be passed, right? So this is about the regulations in India. Yes, the trial and error. So finding a hash is trial and error method, right? That's what makes it so difficult. There's no formula. It's a uniform. So anyone who is having more computing power, they will be able to do more mining and find this thing. Okay. What are the other questions? Nusratansa has asked, if there are so many benefits, why is government holding in adapting it rather than trading it? So the biggest problem for government is like, see, so far what I have explained is Bitcoin cryptocurrencies is about decentralization. By decentralization, it's about giving away the power, right? Like everywhere, even if you look at corruption and all those things, it happens only because people have too much of power, right? When you make laws, like this is how this should be done. Like just imagine, right? 200 years before, you didn't have the constitution, you didn't have the IPC, right? A king will decide what punishment he has to give, and he had like extreme powers. For the same punishment, the king will suddenly say you have to be killed. In some places, he will say you give 100 rupee fine. Right? If you are my friend, he'll say, okay, I have pardoned you, right? So, but once we codify a set of law, you take away arbitrary powers and give the power to the people. The Constitution of India and IPC, they have given power to the people for a particular set of crime that you have committed, right? You know what is the punishment you will be getting, right? Or your victim is going to get, or the abuser is going to get, right? There's no this thing like suddenly one person cannot
because you are a celebrity, I'm going to let you go scot-free. This kind of things cannot happen according to the constitution, but it still happens. That's a different thing. So government, they are not ready to give away the power, right? Once you look at Bitcoin becomes like the major part of the economy, government's power to increase money supply, print money reduces, right? They don't want Indians to send a lot of money outside, right? There's a liberalized remittance scheme. You cannot send more than $250,000 outside. So all those things are getting, how to say, broken by this technology. Like in Dubai and all, still if you will see, WhatsApp is banned for calling, right? They are trying to, because their local telecom networks are affected. Like a lot of people started using WhatsApp calling instead of normal calling. That is the reason Airtel, Jio and all made calling free. Once you have WhatsApp, once you have data, why are you even going to use the normal network? If Airtel and Jio were ruling in India, they would have said, WhatsApp is not good for you. Right? I'm going to ban WhatsApp app. There should be no voice over internet calling because my revenues are getting affected. So this is a similar kind of stance. And also governments are expected to be slow. This is just a 10-year-old technology. Government is going to put a committee, make understand it. And government, they are not filled with technologists, right? They have to find a separate committee of capable people, and then they should also be nuanced enough to understand what the recommendations of the committee are. So this is a very complex thing. It's technology, it's currency, it's decentralization. There are so many things. So government is taking a careful approach. So government will wait for US, Europe, Australia, all these people to pass regulations on cryptocurrencies, and then they will kind of copy it. Right? That's what I expect from this thing. Can we use Bitcoin to purchase consumer item? You use credit card for buying. Yes. Balasubramanian Gurumurthy has asked. Absolutely. There are a lot of websites like Expedia, Wikipedia, they all accept Bitcoin, Microsoft, even Tesla, right? Elon Musk has said you can use Bitcoin to buy a Tesla car, right? So Burger King, so a lot of institutions have started accepting cryptocurrencies, but we are in a very early stage, right? Right now, Bitcoin is too volatile. Once the price stabilizes, it will become a meaningful currency. Right now, it's more of an investment and technology. As a usage, like to spend it on a day-to-day, this thing, it's too volatile. Suddenly, Bitcoin is 35 lakhs. Let's say I'm buying one Skoda Octavia with one Bitcoin. Suddenly, Bitcoin becomes 60 lakhs tomorrow. I'll be very sad, right? If it becomes 15 lakhs, the vendor, the car owner, he is going to be sad, right? Yesterday, I got this one Bitcoin at that time it was 35 lakhs. Now it's just 30 lakhs or 25 lakhs. So once the price stabilizes, it becomes a meaningful form of currency. I think Ms. Deepa Narayanan has raised her hand. Please ask.
Yes, sir. In fact, it was a very insightful presentation of the Bitcoin because we really need to get this sort of insight because we ourselves were thinking, what is this Bitcoin and all about? So, but when you're telling so many things about, and at the same time you're telling it is very speculative, how do you expect the economy to run such type of currencies, sir? One thing, there is no centralization. And one thing which you told, Bitcoin, there's a restriction that it has to be only till 21 million. Once when 21 million happens, it stops. And it has a lifetime of 100 years, where 100 at the end of 100 years, the value of Bitcoin at that time will become zero.
Sorry, I think I explained it in the wrong way. So what is happening is the supply of Bitcoin reduces half every, see, take example of gold. Gold is not produced in Earth. Whatever gold we have in Earth, they are all produced in the supernova. When the star collapses, right? When that extreme pressure and temperatures only, gold, iron and heavy elements are formed. That got distributed in Earth. So whatever existing reserve we have, that we are mining from Earth. Right? New gold is not created. Earth has a X amount of gold. From that gold, we are taking something out from the Earth every year. Right? So Bitcoin is the same thing. We are saying the total supply of Bitcoin will be 21 million. Right? That will be the number of coins that will be there. Right? But you can divide it into 10 power 8. Right? Multiply 21 million into 10 power 8. It will be like 21 quadrillion or quintillion. It's more than enough currency for doing all the trades and activities. Why should you be able to produce new Bitcoin, right? Or collaterally, if I don't produce new Bitcoin, why will the economy stop? Economy is all about circulation, right? This same Bitcoin is going to circulate for all these things.
So, when it is going on in circulation as what you told, it is going to be like a gamble, as what you told. When I buy a Skoda for 35 lakhs, today one Bitcoin is 35 lakhs and tomorrow it becomes 60 lakhs and day after tomorrow it becomes 15 lakhs. It is totally speculative.
Absolutely.
Like that. And everyone will start creating their own Bitcoins, like what you call Bitcoin, Ethereum. Tomorrow I can come up with my own. If everyone is going to start their own things coming
right?
in this way.
Let's take it one by one, right? Second question I'll answer. Like you can see everyone can create their own Facebook. Everyone can create their own WhatsApp. People have tried to do that. What has happened? In internet, it's all about winner takes all, right? When you have something like Bitcoin that works so well, it will not make sense for someone to create another coin and people will not adopt it unless it's a superior technology. If it's a superior technology, of course, Bitcoin might get replaced. Just like how in my school days, I was using Orkut and then Orkut was replaced by Facebook, right? So always in technology, the better technology wins, right? So having said that, so that is the reason Bitcoin price is fluctuating. It's too early, right? Bitcoin may be the future or maybe some other coin is the future, right? Cryptocurrencies as a overall, they are like internet. Something will win. Right? In 2005, I was using internet. Still, I'm using internet. Right? But which technology or which platform is going to be the global monopoly? It's going to be different, right? So, in a similar way, this is like so. If you are in how to say aware of this stock market world, so how does a company progress? First, it's a startup. Then they get a seed funding from angels. Then there is a Series A, Series B, Series C. Then you have an IPO. Once they do an IPO, a lot of them are small cap, then they become mid cap. After some time, once they have like sufficient valuation, they become a large cap, right? Look at the price of Infosys and all those things, or look at the price of something like say Zomato, right? The early the company is in the phase, right? They will see more volatility, more fluctuations, right? You look at the internet itself, right? In 1990s, late 1990s, there was a huge speculation. There was a dot-com bubble. There was a dot-com bust. What is happening is, I am seeing this particular technology has so much potential. A lot of people are seeing this. So what is happening? The limited money is chasing all these things. For example, let's say near Bombay, government is going to plan a new satellite city. What happens is suddenly everyone start buying the land around that place because it's going to become developed, right? So when something is in the infancy, so many things can happen, right? So many different things can happen and there's a huge fluctuation. But as time matures, right, the probability of Bitcoin getting regulated by more and more people, more and more countries, right? There's a stability, what Bitcoin can be and what Bitcoin cannot be, right? But when you're investing in an early stage, you should be ready for everything. Bitcoin can fail. I'm not saying Bitcoin is definitely going to succeed. Bitcoin is a technology, right? If there's a better technology or government, they are trying to come up with their own Bitcoin called CBDC, central bank digital currencies, right? So some of them can succeed, right? But if Bitcoin succeeds, the price is not going to be this price. It's going to be like something totally different. It could replace US dollar. It could replace gold. It could replace Visa, MasterCard as a payment, this thing. Right? If you look at MasterCard and Visa, where they have made the investment, they have made the investment in a lot of cryptocurrencies. Right? This Western Union that we are talking about today as a money transfer company, they used to be a telegraph. They jumped the ship. Like when they say Telegram is becoming useless, they became a money transfer company. So similarly, these this payment gateways like Visa, MasterCard, they're also jumping ship into the crypto because they find the technology so good. So this is as good as investing in a startup, right? You can do the due diligence, you can take that risk. If you have the risk appetite, you can go ahead and put the money, right? If you put like 1,000 rupees, maybe it becomes 10,000, maybe it becomes 0. The day it becomes very mature, it will not give you 10x or 5x returns. It will give you 10%, 5% returns, just like how a Infosys or a Airtel is giving you, right? A mature company, you cannot expect 2x, 5x returns. In a small startup, like that's the reason why venture capital go behind startups like Baiju, how they have raised funds. So this is the concept. Any company that can go 10x can also go 0 because they are in the early stage. So at that point of time, there will be speculation. Once the price matures, once they are the market for 15, 20 years, they are stable, people know what they are going to use this technology for, the price becomes easy and then you can use it for payment. So basically, to be a payment, they are saying 3 things are required. One is unit of account. Okay, as I already explained, sorry, not first is store of value. Okay, store of value means it should be valuable, just like how gold is. Today it should not be X and tomorrow it should not be X by 2. At least it should increase, it should not decrease. Money is the paper currency is a poor store of value. If you realize it, if you take 10,000 rupees and bury it in ground and take it after 5 years or 10 years, you'll see that whatever this 10,000 rupees can buy is very little. So that's why money is paper money is a poor store of value. Gold is a very good store of value. Bitcoin over the last 10 years, the price has only appreciated. If you zoom out, short term there have been corrections, cycles, and all those things. But in the long term, the price has gone only up and up. Right? So it has an excellent store of value. The other two things are medium of exchange and unit of account. Medium of exchange is when I give something in Bitcoin and take a product. Right? I use it for day-to-day transaction. Unit of account is when people start denominating. This laptop is worth 0.006 Bitcoin. Everything you start seeing, even the restaurant menu, you'll see everything priced in Bitcoin. Right? That is the unit of account. So medium of exchange and unit of account will happen together once there is a price stability. You look at Afghanistan, right? What is happening today? People are not happy to accept Afghan dollars, Afghani, whatever dinar, I think. Why will I accept it? If Taliban says tomorrow, this money is no longer valid, all this money is given to you by previous government, why should I value this money in the same level? So people, what they are doing, they're going rushing and buying products like buying gold, jewelry, electronics, and all those things because they want to spend this money. Just like it's the last day. Tomorrow, maybe this money will not have value. So what will happen is, on the other side, no one will be accepting this money. Right? Why should someone accept a money that might not have value tomorrow? So in these kind of places, barter system will start working. Right? People will start using gold and other things of value for even for purchasing rice. They'll say, I will not accept Afghan. Give me something like give me your utensils, give me your phone or something, I'll give you. So in these kind of places, Bitcoin provides a reliable form of money. Right? So wherever there is crisis in Zimbabwe, people have long stopped using Zimbabwean dollar. Right? They are using US dollar or recently Bitcoin. Same thing with Venezuela. There's a country called El Salvador. They have made Bitcoin the sovereign currency. So there, Bitcoin carries the same weight as their own national currency. So it's just what I say, in 15, 20 years, if Bitcoin could be the future, Bitcoin is the future, what you will try to do, you go 10 years back in a time machine and try to buy all the Bitcoins out there. So that's what is happening. People are saying, maybe this is the future and I want to accumulate as many Bitcoins as possible. So that is creating a lot of speculation and volatility. Once the speculation reduces, you will see the price stable, but people will stop buying Bitcoin as an investment at that point of time, right? So investment is happening right now. The speculation is happening right now, just like a stock market. So in any place, if you want more than 10% returns, you should be ready for a loss also. So same thing applies here. Bitcoin is an extremely risky investment, right? Don't put any money that you cannot afford to lose. On the parallel, if it succeeds, you tend to make a lot of money. It's a lottery ticket with technology, and so this is not like a dumb lottery ticket. There is technology backing it, and you are making a calculated investment. That's how I see it. Are stock exchanges accepting Bitcoins for trading? Dr. V. Annapurna has asked. So the New York Stock Exchange, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So these are the companies, they are invested in crypto exchanges. Right now, they don't allow trading in their own exchanges. But in Canada and all, there are something called ETF products, exchange traded funds, which mimic the price of Bitcoin. Right? You can buy a certificate, just like how there are gold certificates, there are also Bitcoin certificates being sold. Right? But having said, this is a 10-year-old technology. Like more and more exchanges are asking for permission. So in India, if you want to buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, you can come to our site, Giottus.com. Right? There are another 3-4 exchanges like this, which will facilitate, take your INR, give you Bitcoin, or take your Bitcoin, give you INR, just like a marketplace, just like a trading platform. Once government comes up with the regulation, we will see the bigger players also entering the trade.
Good morning, Kavita ma'am. Good morning, Arjun sir. This is Dr. Ritu. I used to deal in Bitcoins. I have an account in ZebPay, okay? And I had an account in Wazir also, but I stopped trading in this. The reason is the one player who is manipulating is Tesla. Alumnus, whenever the statements comes for the Tesla that we are accepting a Bitcoin, the market becomes boom, and as soon as they middle of the way he says that it is going down, then the market goes down. It happens with the Dogecoin also, Ethereum also, and this also. Even I have a Bitcoin of some, but the thing is that as we don't have any regulation anywhere, most of the companies are, countries are not accepting these, New York and everywhere. Even in India, you said that the Supreme Court has removed the ban, right? But as per the RBI, they says that all the investors and the traders who are doing it, they are themselves responsible for all the losses. We are not responsible because it is not regularized. Second important thing, they says that if the banks are doing transactions, then in that case, the RBI is nowhere responsible. Am I right? And you have to follow the FEMA rules or Hawala rules. I'm right? Yes. So what my statement, as I'm an investors and traders, and even I have some money in Bitcoin, what is your view about Tesla? See, Elon Musk has hold all the market, as you says, and we don't have any regulation. And if you think 32 se 16 aa gaya ekdam se, once last month. So what is your view? Meanwhile, today, it is a volatile market, I'm accepting.
See, you look at Canara Bank stock in the last 2-3 days. What has happened?
See, leave Canara Bank. If you see the Bob, it was 99 and today 75. I'm looking that only, sir. I'm a trader. I have an account in Kotak and Upstock. But my thing is here, we have
why I'm saying a specific example is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he said he's buying 1% some stocks in Canara Bank. So the price shoots up. Right. So even in this, in Warren Buffett, he says he's going to invest in a particular company. The price shoots up. But if Warren Buffett, he says, I'm going to invest in Amazon, you'll see the price change is not much, like 1% or 2%, because everyone knows Amazon is a very good company. But if he says he's going to invest in a small cap or a mid cap, you'll see the price change is huge. So this is like a promising, see, for example, if Harvard ties up with, say, Tesla, it's not a big news. You know, Harvard is like one of the greatest institutes. But if you have like a small institute in Chennai, like tying up with the Tesla or this thing, it's a big news for them. So if this particular education institution is being traded on a platform, the stock market, right? Let's say, for example, Manipal institutions, right? The price will skyrocket because this is a surprise. You are seeing world's richest person listing something, and the overall market capitalization is not able to handle that pressure, right? As the stock matures, right, it will not be susceptible to all these things, right? The same news that at one point of time would have caused, like say, for example, Infosys is showing 200% quarter-on-quarter growth. That time the price would have gone 10x. Now it's not affecting the stock price very much, right? Because the prices, everything is being predicted. This is very stable. Now what is happening is a lot of new investors are coming. They don't understand what a Bitcoin is, this thing is. They just run behind these few people. They just watch in Twitter, okay, Elon Musk has spoken about it. Because he has spoken, the price is going to increase. Before it increases, let me buy it. A lot of people buy it, then cause the price to increase, right? But the same thing cannot be repeated. So now if you follow Elon Musk, he has made a lot of statements in the last 1 year. And over a period of time, the power of his statements is reducing gradually. Now he is hardly moving the market. And even last couple of weeks, he made a statement. No, nothing is happening to the Bitcoin, right? MicroStrategy, this company I spoke about, they bought over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? When they first bought it, it caused a huge increase in the market. 2 days back, they bought like another $170 million worth of Bitcoin. It is not affecting the market because it's an expected news. If you have government of US say something good about Bitcoin, you'll see again the price will skyrocket, right? Because this is not expected, and this will, see, end of the day, how I am seeing is Bitcoin is 1 or 0. After 20-30 years, it becomes the de facto standard, or it becomes like a collectible. It has no value. Some people hold it just as a token, right? It has not much value. Just people having as an anti-collectible kind of thing. People are holding Bitcoin tokens. These are the only two things. So whatever news that can take it to the #1 position, de facto standard, is going to increase the price a lot. Whatever news that is not, that let's say US government bans Bitcoin, you'll see the price will not go to 0, but it will go to like say 3,000, 2,000.
So why these people are making statement to make an arbitration, to have a volatile market, or to make a speculation?
So it's up to the personal this thing, right? So Elon Musk also makes statements on stock markets, right? So then their SEC, they said you should not make statements on so and so. So he has been trolling stock markets also, right? So it's up to the individual. And as you said, this is like a decentralized market, right? There's no one central control or anything. So anyone who can make a statement will make a statement. What as a good investor we should do is, we should not get distracted by these statements and do things on a long-term thing. Don't do it on a short-term basis, right? There are a lot of intraday traders who just look at the news, right? Right now, Mahindra announces partnership with this thing, then they suddenly buy it. So these people don't make a ton of money. Anyone who invests in the longer term, they understand the fundamentals, technicals, and then make an investment rather than listening to one or two celebrities. They tend to make more money in stock market, right? The same thing applies here. A lot of people will get their hands burnt because they are chasing again high risk money without understanding. If you have the understanding of the market dynamics and how you can benefit from it, even you can make money out of Elon Musk's statements, right? You know how if we make this is how people will react. After this is what is going to happen. These are the second order effects. This is how I should play the market, right? If you have the experience, do that, or otherwise buy Bitcoin and just sit tight. If you have bought Bitcoin over any period, except for maybe April, May, you're in profit right now. You don't have to buy your
profit. Second important thing, I'm thinking about the login credentials. That is a technology, and there is a lot of hacking point of view. What are the precautions? You are itself, you can say, a tech person. So what are the precautions
always,
to make
right?
our login?
Bitcoin lets you be your own bank. You can store your currencies. I showed, right, how I can create a Bitcoin address and this thing. You can go to the website, you can create your own address, take a printout, right, and send all your coins to this. So as long as you store this private key in a safe manner, you will be the only person responsible for these coins, right? Zeppay or Wazirex or Giottus, they will not be able to spend your coins if you are storing it yourself. But there are two things. If someone is seeing this address, they will be able to steal your coins. So you have to encrypt this and store it in an extremely safe manner. First point. Second point, you lose it or you encrypt it and lose the password, right? There's no one in the world who will be able to access this.
This is the problem. See, if I forget, I'm the person who know this password, and I have and millions of Bitcoin with me, and I forget my password, even this. So how can I reach?
So again, there are multiple ways, right? There is something called a 3:5, right? You can create 5 passwords, and at any point of time, you need 3 out of the 5 passwords. You don't need all 5 passwords, right? All big people, they use this kind of M out of N. It can be 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. You can create any number, right? You create 100 passwords and say you need 55 passwords at any point of time. Any of the 55 passwords will work. You don't need like one specific. As long as there are 55 passwords, it will work. So you can create these kind of things to safeguard your wealth, right? There are like hardware pen drive kind of devices, right? They come up with the backup key. If you store the backup key securely somewhere, even if you lose the pen drive, you can recover the Bitcoins. So there are ways to protect it, right? That's how the Coinbase is a listed company. They are worth over $1 billion. So they are also holding a lot of Bitcoin. Tesla is holding a lot of Bitcoin. There are ways to do it, but you need to spend some effort and understand how you are going to do it. For example, if your computer has virus, right, and you are storing this password in a plain text, your Bitcoin will get stolen, right? So if you know how to do it, you store it yourself. If you don't know, leave it to an exchange and go for a reputed exchange in that case. But the risk is definitely there, storing Bitcoin on an exchange. Ideally, you should use exchange only to do the trading, right? After you have purchased, you have to go store it yourself. That's the best way or recommended way.
Okay. When you are expecting that the RBI is going to authenticate our own Bitcoin?
So they are working on it. They keep talking about CBDC, central bank digital currencies. They are having a team that's working on it. China has already piloted digital yuan. So it might come soon. But see, I spoke a lot of things about Bitcoin, right? So none of these things will apply to central bank digital currency. It's more like INR with another form of UPI, right? It's just another way to transact money. And here we may not need a bank account. You don't need a HDFC or ICICI bank account. You can directly transact with central bank. Right? A lot of design principles are there. Like how you want to design this, who should use it, who should validate, verify. They have to create this complete ecosystem. Right? How this will work, how it will work. So it's too early. Indian government is always going to be late. Right? They'll take a year or two. They'll see US, Europe, or someone launch it, have a successful run, or maybe even there you'll need like 2-3 versions. You launch the first version, understand the problems, and come with the second version. Because how people would want this to work is even without internet, it should work. Right? There are ways to make it work. Right? So, so these are the things that even the SMS, it should be able to work. Right? When you come with money, it should work in multiple ways. So how government is going to do it, or how authentication, whether it's through Aadhaar or through a biometric. So these things government has to make a clear decision. There's no easy decision here. Right? Once they make a decision, even then the other things, whether you will allow a lot of micro transactions. No, UPI is flooding the network. Right? Banks are facing congestion issues because a lot of UPI transactions are happening and banks don't have the network bandwidth to stand it. So the same problem may come again. Right? For that, they have to prioritize what is the minimum transaction amount, what is the transaction fee, whether they are going to keep it free. But in that case, large transactions will face a problem. Right? So whether they want to have 2-layer networks, and it's a difficult question to answer. So government is taking their own time to do this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Kavita ma'am has asked, what fascinated you to start your own cryptocurrency exchange? First thing is Bitcoin fascinated me. So in 2015, 16, I was thinking the world is becoming more and more centralized, right? Amazon is buying all the companies. At some point of time, whatever a human can be trained, AI can be trained much easily, right? And at the same time, parallelly, like if you look at a Tesla car, right? It's not just one person teaching it. There are like 1 million cars in US. At the time, all of them are learning and they are sharing their learning between them. So you cannot match a human's learning with the AI's learning. The AI can learn parallelly from like 100,000 instances across the world, and the kind of data that they can process, mining and all those things, at some point of time, they are going to replace humans in almost all jobs. Anything a human can be trained to do, it can do on its own, right? Except creative things like art and stuff, even that is not beyond the reach of AI. So someone like an Amazon, which has the AWS, like they have the cloud computing and they are working on AI stuff. So they will be controlling the world, right? You don't need an Infosys. Rather than having 3 lakh people doing things, they'll have 3 lakh bots, robots doing the same thing, right? So everything can be converted into a bot, and who owns the bot, they're going to control the world. This is how I was thinking. And at some point in time, there will be only like 4 or 5 companies in the world doing everything from end to end. Instead of even agriculture will be done by robots, right? But this kind of technology fascinated me because it takes the world to the opposite side. You don't need a large centralized entity, right? This looks like the way forward. You cannot have rich becoming richer continuously, right? Or Amazon becoming larger and larger. They replace all the stores in the world, and there's just one Amazon, there's just one Google, Facebook, and everything else is just a subsidiary of this. This should not happen, right? So that's what fascinated me, and the kind of potential it has. This almost looks like the early version of next level of internet. Then there's a concept called FAT protocol. The guy who discovered internet, created internet, right? The Tim Berners-Lee and all those people, HTTP, TCP/IP, www. These people have hardly made like 100 million or $50 million. That's their net worth for creating something so fundamental and foundation of internet. But who created small applications like Google, Facebook on top of internet? They are billionaires, right? They even be the first trillionaire in like 5-10 years. Right? What makes it so? It's because all the data lies in the application layer and not in the protocol layer. HTTP, they don't own the data. The data is owned by Google or Facebook. But in Bitcoin is a FAT protocol. The data lies in the Bitcoin layer, right? Whatever I have to do, the data that I store, transact, everything happens in the Bitcoin layer. So the application on the top will be small. All the value accrued, it's going to the protocol. That is why holding on to one Bitcoin is so much more important, right? That's what gives Bitcoin a value, because the data is stored in the protocol layer, right? So these kind of things, when it made me realize this could be the future. And then we started trading, just like how Dr. Ritu was doing. We were also doing trading. We found a lot of issues when trading in the Indian exchanges. There are not enough coins. The experience was bad. The customer care was bad. We realized there's such a huge potential this technology has, and customers are not getting proper service. We should do something about it. Why don't we start our own exchange? My friend, he works in Amazon. So he was saying Amazon does like 100x this, whatever, like these exchanges had problems when they're handling 1 lakh customers. But Amazon is doing a tremendous job when they have like 50 crore customers, right? So we could take those principles, apply here, and give customer a better experience. That's what made us start Giottus. Any other question?
Thank you.
Couple of days back, hackers stole now 90 million from liquid crypto. So how about the data breach? See, that's what. So basically, Bitcoin is not being breached. It's just that the passwords that they store or the mechanisms where they allow withdrawals and deposits, that is where the problem is. It's a process side issue. Again, millions of dollars also gets stolen from banks on a day-to-day basis, but we never talk about it, right? Once the technology improves, once there is a stability, right, these kind of things will not happen. There are ways to secure it. There's something called a cold storage, air-gapped storage, and all those things. And also the technology is getting better and better. What is happening is people are able to track this coins, where they are going, how they are being spent, from there, which address to which address, and they're able to trace the criminals. So recently, US law enforcement, they recovered Bitcoins paid for the ransomware as the private keys were stored in a server, right? So in real estate, there are scams happening. In banks, there are scams happening. So anything related with money with high potential, you will see these kind of things, right? We should only see what we can learn from these kind of things and how we can store our cryptos in a safe manner. As I already said, exchanges are not the right places to store your crypto. Once you make a purchase, you store it yourself, right? You learn slowly. After a year or 6 months, when you think you're capable, move your Bitcoins or whatever cryptocurrencies you have bought into your secure custody. That's what the advice I would give. Any other questions? It depends on how they have stored, whether they are end of the day, you need to know the password, right? If they are given you the backup key or the key to the laptop where they have stored, or they have stored, put it in a piece of paper and kept it in the locker, and you have the key to the locker, right? Then you may be able to access it. It depends on how, basically you need a password, right? Where that password is, you need to know. If they are storing it in an exchange, right, regulated exchange, then it is like in the will, whoever is the nominee or whoever is the actual owner of that, who's the heir, he should be able to produce sufficient proof and ask the exchange to give the Bitcoins to them.
Deepa ma'am, yeah. Deepa ma'am has raised hands.
Yeah, please ask.
Deepa?
Sir, I have only one more question regarding this. After hearing to all of this, see, if we actually say take the whole of the Indian economy, this 95% of unconventional micro entrepreneurship, which is actually predominantly contributing in a big way to the GDP, and which all focuses on the small entrepreneurs like road sellers, small pani puri walas, and if we see all those things. In having such a sort of background with an unconventional micro entrepreneurship, do you think this trend of cryptocurrency will really be a success? Because when we are talking about all the things what you told, the way how the trading happens, the way how the mining happens, everything, there should be a sort of knowledge. There should be a sort of good educational background to do all of this thing. But when do you think the lower start of the economy can really adopt to this sort of thing, and in the future can a cryptocurrency trend really be successful in a place like India?
See, when you look at like 80s, 90s, how people used to access internet, right? They used to access internet through command prompt, right? That's how the early internet was before www was created. People used to go to the IRC, Usenet for communication and everything, right? So, but look at today, you are creating, even vegetable vendors are able to use a smartphone, right? So what you need to do is, the technology underlying is actually getting more and more complex, but the user interface on the top of it, it's able to do a lot of abstraction, show only what is required and what is not required, and the user is able to use it, right? Like when I was in school, college, we were introduced to Linux. It used to look so complex, right? For everything, even for watching a movie, you have to put it a type certain codes, right? But it's not the same case today, right? The technology improves, the user friendliness improves over a period of time. So there are a lot of things that are possible with cryptocurrencies that may not be possible with digital this thing. For example, micro payments. Why should I pay 200 rupees for the whole book? I start paying per page. I read an ebook, I find 10 pages good, right? I paid for 10, right? The 11th page, I'm finding it boring. I should not pay for the whole book. I'll stop then and there and move ahead, right? Even the movies that we watch, you should only pay for how many seconds you are watching, right? A good movie you'll watch till the end, you make the full payment. This is how it should be, right? Because in phone calls, you remember, even if you speak for 10 seconds, you used to be charged for 1 minute. Then Docomo came, they said, if you are speaking for 15 seconds, pay for 15 seconds, right? Pay per second. So these kind of things, these innovations are not possible with the existing digital infrastructure. You cannot pay less than 1 rupee, right? In any of these things. Just realize, right? If you have a Chrome wallet, right? So many places we are seeing their blog, like New York Times is blocking us from reading without access and all those things. Per article, you are able to just pay from your wallet rather than making this entire digital transaction. You just authorize Chrome, okay, pay 10 paise to New York Times, show me this article, right? You will be able to do so much more activities. You will be able to tip people and all those things. If you look at your phone app store, do you have one app that does everything, or you have like so many apps? For each and every purpose, you have a different app, right? So this is what I'm also thinking. If government is going to launch their own central bank digital currency, even then it will be able to solve few of the use cases, right? It should be bad for solving a lot of use cases. For example, UPI does not work when there's no internet, right? If you optimize for this thing, a product that is good for everyone is actually bad, right? That's what they say in design industry. You need to know your target audience and decide based on that, right? So one thing that solves all the problems generally doesn't work, right? So these are the reasons why I'm kind of bullish on cryptocurrencies as in general, because there are thousands of cryptocurrencies designed to solve thousands of problems, right? No two problems are alike. For example, this bad coin I spoke about, it works very well as this ecosystem, right? If they start paying in Bitcoins, the publisher and the user also earns in Bitcoin, in that case, that ecosystem kind of gets destroyed, right? The price is not based on the supply demand of this particular this thing. It becomes more on the Bitcoin's perspective. So maybe in certain places we need specific cryptocurrencies for making things work. So that's how I see it. So, and it's too early. We have to wait and watch. Right? We need to do see, predicting future is one of the most difficult things. Right? A lot of people make only wrong predictions. And even weather predictions, you can make it much more surer than technology predictions. So it's just a calculated risk people can take. Governments also, that's why they are doing a wait and watch approach, not rushing into things. Let's see. Dr. Suhasini, yeah, please ask.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. A very nice session. Sir, just wanted to know that these many type of cryptocurrencies are there, like Bitcoin is there, Ethereum is there, and other currencies are there. So whether it is, so we can use all the cryptos for all the type of transactions, or is there something like these, this crypto is apt for these type of transactions? Is that so? Is that anything, any similar type of things are there in the market?
I didn't get you. Like, wow.
See, whether I'm saying that, okay, 10 cryptocurrencies are there. So this Bitcoin is very apt for this type of transactions. And this Ethereum is apt for this type of transaction, or Ripple is apt for this type of transaction. Is there any type of any this type of things are happening in the market, or we can use all the cryptos for all the types of transactions?
See, what normally happens is you create a platform, then you see how people are using. People use it different places. TikTok, just how things have changed, right? How it started and how it ended up. Like
Yes.
what are the things people are using? Look at
Yes.
YouTube. A lot of people using YouTube for game streaming. Like I'm playing PUBG game, I'm just going to do a live stream. These kind of webinars are getting live casted. Right? When people created YouTube, they would not have known these are the things how YouTube would be used for. Right? So what happens is these are all horizontal technology. They are not very specific, right? People find their own way to use things. Right? So basically what you have to look at is when I'm making a payment, is paying through Bitcoin much more easier, or The primary reason why people are holding Bitcoin right now is not for making transactions, it's for holding on to the asset's value. The price is increasing, they are doing it as an investment. Right? At one point of time, once it stabilizes, when the transaction costs reduce and there are regulatory certainties. Right now, a lot of freelancers in India, they want to accept things in Bitcoin, but they are not sure about the regulatory clarity. So they take money through PayPal, they pay 20% cut, 30% cut, right? So at some point when there is a regulatory clarity, they will be able to take. So cross-border transaction, it's a huge pain. So wherever there is a pain in the existing infrastructure, and if Bitcoin can solve it really well, that's where Bitcoin will be used. I think that's how simply I can say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Kavita ma'am has asked, can cryptos be used for illegal purposes? See, anything can be used for illegal purpose. The good thing about cryptocurrencies is, as I showed you, each and every transaction is available on the public domain. It can be tracked, right? Okay, from this address, the payment was made. From that address, this address, the payment was made. From this address, payment was made. Okay, if this guy is a thief, most probably the guy who paid him is also a thief. Okay, so you can ask him, like, who made the payment? And if any of these are touching a regulated exchange, like Giottus or Zeppay, they can ask us, like, this particular address, does it belong to you? Like, who used this address? Do you have the KYC details? So it's becoming more and more difficult for people to use it for illegal purposes, because it's such a transparent public blockchain, right? You have to do a lot of things to obfuscate your transaction. And the law enforcement agencies are getting smarter day by day. So that is what's happening.
Because as a common person, we find even in movies, they are showing that Bitcoins have been used for making a payment for something illegal. Because as a common person, you know, so we want to know from you as an expert.
2016, 2014, 15 and all, that was the primary use case, right? There was something called a Silk Road. Silk Road was there in dark web, and they see, basically these are the people facing a huge pain, right? Anyone who is feeling a pain, they'll be the first people to adopt. Right? They found Bitcoins very easy, but the guy who created Silk Road was arrested. All his Bitcoins was confiscated. The Winklevoss twins, the Facebook, the guys who sued against Facebook, these were the first people to win the Bitcoins in that auction. So they are one of the richest people now. They're billionaires because of the Bitcoin that they bought in 2014-15 in an auction from the Silk Road. So, but as more and more time used by, it gets more and more adopted. Right? Even for internet, for example, in the starting, it was used for a lot of wrong activities. Right? Even right now, a lot of child pornography exists in internet. Right? People use it a easier way for doing all kind of transmission, encrypted means. Right? Even terrorists, they use internet as a way to communicate. But once you regulate it, you find that the use cases for normal people is much, much higher. Just because terrorists are using internet, we are not going to block internet for the whole world. We will create rules, regulations, mechanisms to monitor and how to identify. Right? A lot of terrorists have got arrested because they use internet. Right? Without internet, they would have been much more safer. But because they access internet, they got arrested. So this is how I see it. So even the IMF, they are saying less than 0.7% or something. So if you use Bitcoin used for illegal percentage, it's illegal activities percentage, there are studies which say that so majority, so this Forbes says that it's less than 2.1% of all cryptocurrency transactions are for illegal purpose in 2019. In 2020, the criminal share is just 0.34%. Right? It's getting more and more legitimate. So that's why I say it. Bitcoin theft insurance is available. Yes, for cold wallets, there are companies like Lloyds which provide theft insurance. So we have stored our coins in a place where we have got this insurance, right? But day-to-day activities, hot wallets, they will not be covered. For cold wallets, any Bitcoin that you are storing for a long term, you can avail the insurance.
Sir, Indian companies are accepting this?
What?
See, what you say that your Bitcoin wallet can be insured.
No. See, we are storing it in a US-based custodian who is insured by Lloyds.
Okay, it is not in India. It is in the US. It is done, right? Yeah,
our Bitcoins, the majority of Bitcoin, we store it in a US-based custodian's wallet, right? Which is completely 100% insured.
Okay. Done. So one thing I have a query just now. You say it is a public domain, so we can also see this our transactions online.
See, buy and sell that happens in an exchange, they are not registered in Bitcoin.
Okay.
Right? When you do a withdrawal, for example, from WazirX, you move to Giottus. From Giottus, you move to Zeppay. All these transactions, you will see it on blockchain. If you take your address, whichever you are doing the withdrawal to, and paste it on the blockchain, you will see all the transactions. And
It can be hacked.
Your passwords can be hacked, where you are storing the password.
Okay.
That's the way, right? So, but Bitcoin in general cannot be hacked. So Bitcoin, if it could be hacked, one Bitcoin is worth what, 35 lakhs. Someone will create 10 Bitcoins, they're going to be rich. And the biggest part is this is all in public domain. The moment someone creates it, everyone will know it because they know what is the supply now, what is in the next 10 minutes, what is the supply now. If they see somewhere the supply is exceeding what it should be, right? People are Bitcoin price will become zero because people will realize someone has created a way to create Bitcoins outside the network. That would mean they are going to flood the market. The Bitcoin price is going to crash. Let me sell it off. And everyone will sell it off. In 10 years, this has not happened. That means Bitcoin is a secure network. It's like the world's largest big bug bounty program. If you're able to find a bug and create Bitcoin, you'll be a millionaire in no time. Right? You'll create, sell it off before even people realize. Right? People will take 1 hour, 2 hours, or even 5 hours to realize that the Bitcoin supply has changed. Right? And for the normal people to know, it will even be much more. It will take much more time. By the time you will sell and take your cash out. But so far, it has not happened.
Thank you.
Thank you. And someone is saying, someone with zero knowledge Bitcoin customer, and then she invested based on your advice. What is his present status? See, we have over 4 lakh customers in India. Lot of people, they are like first time buyers, right? People who don't control their emotions, who don't have the self-discipline, what they do is they buy it at $60,000. When it crashes, they suddenly sell it off. Then it goes up, they again buy it. Okay, so what they do is normally you should buy low and sell high. Buy at $30,000, sell at $60,000. But people, human tendency is to do opposite. So if you do a lot of trading and if you don't know how to trade, you are going to end up in loss. Having said that, majority of the people, they have made profits because it's a bull market. The prices of Bitcoin from $4,000 in March 2020, it has come to $65,000. So we are there in this market for more than 6 months, 1 year. If you are in a loss, the only person to be blamed is yourself, right? So there is a lot of risk involved. That's why I keep saying, don't don't sell your house and put your money or borrow money and invest. Something like 5% of your net worth, 4%. If it becomes zero, still you are 95%, right? If this 5% becomes 10x, your wealth increases by 50%. By taking a 5% risk, you can increase your wealth by 50%. So it's a very calculated risk. So you should invest only money that you're willing to lose. If it becomes zero also, my life is not going to be affected in a huge way. Right? If you have that kind of a disposable income, you put a small amount in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and that too as a experiment. Right? The ideal thing is you study more, you understand more. What is this technology? Evaluate it. So if you have that, see, being professors, I think the audience here is in much better position than 99% of the Bitcoin customers. So evaluate the technology, they understand the benefits, how it's working, and then make profit. Because as someone said, there are a lot of illiterates here, financial illiterates here, right, who are in this market. So in trading, someone's loss is someone's profit, right? In the overall asset class, if the price keeps on growing, everyone benefits. There's no losers. So it's a great opportunity with a lot of risk. There's no risk without risk. Yeah, risk without risk. Yeah.
So Arjun, like, how do you see the trend? Because from $256.61 US in 2015, so it has drastically gone up. So how do you see this trend? I'm not asking for the next few years or next few months, maybe for the next few days. How this trend is going to be like?
Also in short term is difficult. Long term is easy. I can say virtual reality is the future. Okay. People are going to spend a lot of time in virtual reality and augmented reality, but it will happen in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's very difficult question to answer because you look at 1990s itself, movies came out virtual reality. We are 30 years after, we are still not cracked the virtual reality code, right? So long term, I am, or to say, bullish on cryptocurrencies in large. Like cryptocurrencies should grow from here. Like more and more countries are taking positive stance. Australia, Japan, South Korea, Europe, Germany, they're all taking positive regulations for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And even in US, you have Coinbase that is listed, and a lot of lobbying is happening for making crypto completely regulated. So this makes me bullish. And among the cryptocurrencies, right now, it looks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are like poised to become the leaders. But in any technology, the early movers need not be the number one players, right? Once the market is matured, the one who is leading, he will become the monopoly. Look at search, for example. There was Yahoo, Alta Vista, and all those players. Then came Google, right? Now, Google is the world leader. The market is very mature. The internet penetration is over 60-70% across the world. Now it's very difficult to dethrone Google. Same thing with Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, WhatsApp, right? There are like hundreds of competitors for them before. But once the market matures, right, the one who is leading, he will have a monopoly. They'll have like 60-70% of the market share. So we have to wait and watch that the cryptocurrencies that will be the leader when the market matures, right? When there's like a huge adoption. Right now, we will say that internet penetration has been good right now, right? Almost whatever it needs to do, it has done, right? From cab drivers to everyone, we are using internet, Uber, and all those things. So at this point of time, the leaders remain the leaders, right? It's very difficult for them. They have to be really foolish, make a huge mistake for them to downfall. So same thing with cryptocurrencies. After 10-15 years, when the market is mature, or maybe after 5 years, you will see that leaders from then on will be the leaders for future, right? But before that, someone comes with a better technology, better throughput, more decentralized, better way to do things, maybe they can beat Bitcoin or Ethereum also. The moment this risk disappears, the returns will also disappear. Bitcoin becomes like very low risk investment. You'll see it's not going to give 2%, 5%. The price would have increased before that. That's the idea.
So Adipa ma'am has asked, why such name as Bitcoin, Batcoin, Ethereum, any specific intent?
It's completely up to the founder, like that's how they named Amazon. So bit is basically what binary digits, bit. So like digital coin, that guy created it as Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, is supposed to be this Greek word called ether, which was supposed to fill all the space, right? They didn't have anything called vacuum at that point of time. They thought all the sky, everything is filled with something called magical ether. So I think maybe that could be the basis. Like it's completely up to the founder what they want to name the coin or this thing.
Then probably the question would be, why did you name it as Giottus? Any reason behind it,
yeah.
Arjun?
So basically, if you look at technology and all those things, there's a lot of complexity, right? As someone already explained, like how will a layman understand, right? But if you look at the best successful products, WhatsApp, or best example is iPhone, that's just one button. It doesn't reduce the features at all. It has all the features. When iPhone launched, there was no smartphone also. iPhone was one of the first smartphones, right? But they could simplify a complex experience. So this is called simplicity beyond complexity, right? For any product to gain stronghold in the market, they need to be really, really simple, right? Without compromising on the technology or the features part. So this is what we thought should be the vision and mission of Bitcoin, Giottus. Right? At that point of time, we came across the story. There was an Italian painter in the 14th century, early Renaissance painter. So at that point of time, Pope wanted to commission some artwork for his Vatican Palace. So he asked for sample works across Europe. So the messengers went, they asked the painters, show me your best skills, right? How do you use your color, all those things, show me your skills so that I can take it to the Pope and Pope will choose best of you to make the paintings, right? When they came to this guy called Giottus, he just drew a circle and gave it to the messenger. So the Pope was going through all the sample works. He takes a look at this particular painting and he's like amazed, like, why is it just a circle? Like other people have demonstrated a lot of colors, this, that, but this guy has just created a circle. Then he realized it's a perfect circle. Right? It's very difficult to create a perfect circle in a free hand. Only someone who has mastered an art can showcase his qualifications in just such a simple circle, right? So this is simplicity at the far end of complexity. We thought, I think the name should, and also, right, the question that ma'am asked, like why Bitcoin, Batcoin, and all those things. Like you in this business, you'll see a lot of similar sounding names. Right? Everyone will have a coin or a pay kind of thing on their names, right? So it's like very difficult to differentiate between one and the other. There is Coinbase, this CoinX, Coin Switch, Coin DCX, and all those things. Right? To stand out, we thought it's better to have a different name, unique name. So hence Giottus.
Okay, wow. That was a nice explanation, Arjun. So I think all our queries are answered. So Arjun, that was so really nice of you, for especially on a morning time, it's difficult to catch hold of people like you who are very busy on their exchanges, trading. And you were so patient enough to answer all our questions. And at least now we all have some good idea about what is a Bitcoin or what is a cryptocurrency, what is a CBDC. So at least we're able to distinguish the features between investing in gold, Bitcoin, and then maybe the difference with the fiat currency. And you have also given us a lot of examples, a lot of situations. Now we all have a better and a clear picture about Bitcoin and how this journey is going on and how it will be in the future as well. So thank you so much, Arjun, on behalf of College of Management, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, and on behalf of all our participants, I really thank you so much for joining us today and patiently giving us all the valuable inputs from your side on Bitcoin and about CBDC and other technology-based things. Okay, so thank you, Arjun, for joining us today, and we look forward for more such sessions from you.
It's always a great pleasure to talk about Bitcoin. And especially this audience, I think you can spread the word more and more, because we are going to teach a lot of students about Bitcoin.
Yes.
So I'm happy. This is going to this is going to give me more returns than any other audience, any other presentation I made. I'm really happy to have done that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So participants, we'll just take